Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Today's podcast, today's YouTube video, today's presentation is dedicated to all of you who are working in real estate part-time and you want to learn how to make full-time money. Well, we're going to give you some specific drilled down points on exactly what you should be doing. And we're going to walk you through why Julie and I have been perhaps the only people in our position at our level to be advocates of agents working part-time in real estate, especially as they transition full-time into real estate. And I know a lot of people, basically everybody that you're going to come in contact with, including office managers and brokers and whatnot, are going to tell you to completely burn the bridges, completely quit your job, and then move into real estate full-time. And we're going to give you some points as to why we think that is not the greatest of ideas. We're going to get through as many of these points as we can. Julie has written down 11 points. And remember, all of our notes are available on Premier Coaching. Speaking of which, thank you to the dozens of you that have joined Premier Coaching in the last few days. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We sincerely appreciate you being part of our community. For those of you who have not yet joined Premier Coaching, guess what? There's no reason for you not to. It takes less than 20 seconds. Yes, I've timed it. And it's completely free. So just text the word Premier to 47372. Text the word Premier to 47372. Or if you would prefer, you can just go to members.timandjulieharris.com, members.timandjulieharris.com. The quickest and easiest way for you to do it, and do it now, is just text the word Premier, Premier, to 47372, and we'll text you back a link, and you can just click the link and you can join. You can join right there on your phone, whether it's an Android or an iPhone. You get so much with Premier Coaching, it really is hard to really, I think, give you the whole list. It is available. All the information you get, all the coaching you get is available on that website that you're going to see. And as soon as you text Premier to 47372, one of the greatest benefits and one of the things I'm hearing so many of you be so grateful for and thankful for, which we certainly appreciate, is the immediate access to your own Harris certified coach. Yes, for free. You are going to have instant access to a Harris certified coach. You'll have a daily coaching session. Every work day, you're going to have a coaching session with a Harris certified coach. You also get to be part of our members only community on Facebook. And you get, again, scripts, objection handlers, listing presentations. You get 90-day massive action plans. A lot of you guys, and we do read what you're saying, not just on our Instagram and Facebook and the rest of it, but we do scroll other real estate focused sites. And we are noticing that a lot of you are desperately asking the world to help you identify what exactly you should be doing now in preparation of this continuation of this changing market. Well, that's the reason that Julie and I have included the 90-day massive action plan. It's sitting there and waiting for you. So please go ahead and text the word Premier to 47372, or just go to members.timandjulieharris.com. Remember, when texting, message and data rates may apply.
Yes. So again, this podcast is for all of you who are working part-time or full-time jobs and wanting to also be successful in your real estate business. It's also for all of the full-time moms and dads who are raising kids and don't have full-time hours to devote to real estate careers. And some of you are in the military, or you're keeping the old job because it's got great benefits. Whatever your situation, here is your step-by-step guide to making full-time money, even if you don't have 40 hours plus, maybe not even 30 hours plus per week to devote to your real estate business.
But let's drill down on what you just said, because it is very important. Yeah, if you are, a lone ranger, you have nobody that's dependent on you to earn money. Maybe it's just you and your fish, and it's all good. You can go ahead and take some risks. But in our humble opinion, if you have a family, if you have other people that you're responsible for feeding or, contributing to the feeding of other people, then you definitely want to consider the fact that you need to keep your current job. And depending on what your job is, the job itself actually might turn out to be a great source of real estate leads for you. So really, at the end of the day, we're giving you practical, tactical advice. Julie and I are not heavy into mindset or woo-woo. We're heavy into actually making it so you guys have a clean, clear path forward. This is actionable information, but the first things first, if you've got a family, if you've got people you're responsible for, those are your commitments. You've committed to those people before you've committed to your overwhelming desire, your burning desire to be an entrepreneur, to work for yourself, your passion, all your desire for creativity, opportunity, that has to come secondary to the obligations and the commitments you made to your family or to your spouse and what have you. So that is where Julie and I's base, essentially coaching comes from with regards to this topic. You have to honor the commitments you made first. Now, if you don't, what's going to happen if you're not able to meet your financial obligations? What happens if you have, essentially not the ability to make mortgage payments and not pay for food and all the rest of it? You guys get the point? So this is a practical, tactical approach to how to transition part-time into real estate and full-time. So take great notes. Point number 1, Julie.
Yes, point number 1 is, there's an old saying that says, if you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail. So you might not be surprised to hear, number 1, get the real estate treasure map and actually follow it. Identify what the goal is for you being in real estate. Are you working part-time until you can switch to full-time, or is real estate always going to be supplemental? What's the income required for you? Have a very specific monetary answer, and the treasure map will get you there.
And the treasure map is our fill-in-the-blank business plan. It's it's really the first thing we ask all of you to do when you join Premier Coaching. And I don't know if you have this in your notes, Julie, but like, for example, if I was talking with one of you guys right now and you're saying, I want to transition from part-time to full-time, here's what I would say. Earn enough money selling real estate part-time for 3 months in a row. And once you've done that, you've proven to yourself and your family that you can earn money consistently, and you've forced yourself to form new habits. Maybe you've actually started to, try on the idea of doing what you don't want to do and you don't want to do at the highest level. You're starting to be a consistent, proactive lead generator. Well, at that point, you have enough momentum because you've earned enough money for 3 months in a row to replace your income. At that point, we can probably talk about you departing or at least going part-time at your full-time job and then going 3/4 time in real estate. So we can start to pivot, but in our opinion, the burning of the ships is not a great idea because it's not tactical and practical, especially in an economy like this. Point number 2.
Yes, point number 2. And by the way, in the podcast archives, there is a specific drill down on when to cut the ties with your full-time job. Mm-hmm. So maybe I'll dust that off and repost.
That's a great idea.
Yep. Okay, so point number 2, be willing to, warning, I'm going to say it, that word, prospect, otherwise known as proactively lead generate. Why? Because a part-time agent who prospects is more efficient than a full-time agent who doesn't. The part-time agent will likely net a higher percent of their income as well. Do not buy leads. Every time you pay for your leads, you're adding to what you have to earn to meet or exceed your goals. Start with your own database and friends, family, centers of influence. Talk about real estate all the time and refer to our podcast about the FORD, F-O-R-D, that stands for Family, Occupation, Recreation, Dreams script.
But really, at the bottom line is proactive lead generation costs nothing. You don't have to buy those leads. Proactive lead generation is learning how to actually directly contact people who have their hands in the air right now saying, primarily, yes, I want to sell my house. That is one of the focuses, the first focuses we have when you join Premier Coaching, teaching you how to be a proactive lead generator. That is critical. So even if you're full-time right now and you're listening to us and you're wondering, well, what can I do to create some momentum in my business right now? We just told you, proactive lead generation. Point number 3.
Yeah, it's far more efficient. Okay, point number 3, track your numbers closely using the whiteboard system that we teach in Premier Coaching. Concentrate heavily on lead generation and tracking your short, medium, and long-term leads. 90% of your time should be spent proactively generating new business and only 10% of your time appointments. You notice I don't have any fluff in there. You were asking me yesterday, we mentioned I'm going to do a podcast series of interviewing moms in real estate. Mm-hmm. And you said, what are some of the things you might talk about? And we talked about the fact that especially moms and maybe dads that don't have tons of time, they don't do a lot of long-term drip systems. They don't have, double opt-in pages. They're like Navy SEALs with their leads, their lead follow-up, and their pre-qualification because they don't have the time to mess around with it.
Well, that is true, but also none of us really have the time, children or not. But the reality of it is that they are going to be more focused in on doing things that are going to be more efficient with making money quickly, right?
That's right.
That's really at the end of the day. And a lot of the things that you guys are being taught, long-term lead follow-up, drip campaigns, CRMs, branding, buying leads, all the rest of it, that is if those things worked at all in the previous market, they'll be struggling to work at all in this market. So you've got to start pivoting. Now, look, we are advocates of social media. You're watching this video on YouTube right now. That's technically social media. We are on Instagram. We have Facebook pages. We have all the rest of it. But we do not fool ourselves into thinking for a second that those things are going to be the pointy end of the spear. The pointy end of the spear always has to be the proactive lead generation, especially in real estate. And you guys are all blessed. Your best possible clients all self-identify. It's not a big mystery. They have their hands in the air right now and they say, yes, I have a house to sell. And the obvious ones would be the for sale by owners, the expired listings. Those are coming your way. Those, and we can, go down the list. We have 20 different sources of leads that we're going to teach you how to proactively lead generation. Probate, notice of defaults, all kinds of different sources of people who have their hands in the air right now say, yes, I have a house to sell. Those leads are free. Those leads are in your marketplace right now. Chances are you're driving right now in your car, listening to Julie and I, and you just drove past 3 for sale by owners, and you have somehow put up psychological, blinders that you don't even notice them, but there they are. Those could have been your next 3 paychecks. Oh, by the way, that for sale by owner you just passed also has a house that they want to buy. Oh, and by the way, you could have double-ended that, for sale by owner listing when you converted it to your listing. So right there, that could have been 4 transactions that you just drove by.
And that doesn't even count the open house action.
Exactly.
So
Totally.
Just saying, stop looking the other way when you drive past FSBOs. All right. Point number 4, this is a really big point, so you decide how much you want to drill down, but your broker does matter. So choose your broker wisely. Make profit on your transactions in more than just one way, and choose a broker who's already operating in the metaverse. I don't know why any agent would be attached to going to a specific office location, driving through traffic, wasting all that time. You've got to choose a brokerage that really, pays you in more than one way.
So yes, we chose a brokerage. It was eXp Realty. We chose eXp Realty 3.5 years ago. And yes, we are personally inviting you to be part of our eXp Realty group. Julie and I would love to talk with you about you being part of our eXp Realty organization. That is our personal invite to you, right? Asking you if you're interested in joining, please call me directly, or rather text me. Don't call me. Text me directly on my cell phone, 512-758-0206. 512-758-0206. Text me directly. Some of you are maybe you're new and you're looking for a broker. Well, let's have a conversation. Maybe you're on your way to changing brokerages because you're realizing that your broker is not going to be the broker you need in this new market. Give me a text, 512-758-0206. Maybe you're a top producing agent, or you're an existing broker, or you're a big team, and you're saying to yourself, well, here we go, another recession headed our way. I haven't been able to put enough steaks in the freezer, save enough money, create enough passive income. I'm going to go into this market and I'm going to be in the same situation I was maybe 15 years ago. eXp Realty can be your solution because of the many different ways that you can earn money passively when you're an agent in eXp Realty. Here's the bottom line. The old business model was, what are you paying your broker? The new business model is, what is your broker paying you? Give me a text, 512-758-0206. 512-758-0206, and just put in EXP into the subject line and let's have a conversation. Point number 5.
Point number 5, this is all about tools. Get your pre-listing package, buyer's presentation, and listing presentation done, learned, and polished as soon as possible. It's all about earning while you learn. Knowledge equals confidence and ignorance equals fear. These presentations will give you the confidence that you need to succeed. Wouldn't it be great when maybe you do have limited time and you've only got X number of appointments? Well, that makes all of those appointments even more valuable. Wouldn't it be great to go to them knowing that you're going to win that business for sure? Well, that comes down to sending your pre-listing package, not just the one your broker pumps out that's like everybody else's, but one that is competitive, that is proven to work.
How many coaching clients and coaching calls have we had with agents of all different experience levels who've never had a pre-listing pack, let alone a listing presentation?
Yep.
They are so proud of themselves when they use our pre-listing pack and they create their own personalized version, which we show you guys how to do as part of Premier Coaching. It's literally a package of information you deliver to the seller prior to going on a listing appointment. And yes, we have something similar with working with buyers, but you deliver it to the seller prior to going to the listing appointment. After you pre-qualified them, after you've set the appointment, the pre-listing pack goes next. The pre-listing pack, when you replicate what we've already created for you, which has been tested to work in all different price ranges, all different market conditions, absolutely will be like your silent salesperson. It will do most of the heavy lifting prior to you going to the listing appointment. I'm not exaggerating. And I'll tell you for sure how I know it, because we used it when we sold real estate, and we had somebody that went on listing appointments for us because we were setting so many listing appointments we couldn't keep up. But since then, and that was a long time ago, we've had tens of thousands of agents who have used the pre-listing pack to great levels of success. And one of my I have to say, and this is maybe not something our grizzled veterans want to hear, but one of my favorite messages is from a new agent where they'll message us on Instagram at Tim and Julie Harris, or they'll just, text us or whatever. And they'll say something like, I've never gone on a listing appointment before. I didn't know this seller. It was somehow maybe it was a for sale by owner or whatever. I'm competing against 2 of the other agents in my marketplace, which I know are absolute whales, and I beat them because
that.
I know that's my favorite one. Well, it's because there you go. That's actually testing the veracity of the pre-listing pack in our whole system, because you're using it on an inexperienced salesperson.
Well, and what a huge confidence builder that is,
Totally.
right? Because then the next thing that we hear is, I can't wait to set more. So what happens when you have a really kick-ass pre-listing package is it gives you wings. You go from kind of, if we're being honest, kind of hiding out from potential listings because it makes you nervous. You're not exactly know what to do.
It's that FSBO you just drove by with blinders on. If you had a pre-listing pack sitting there, which wasn't, dedicated to another seller, and you were driving past that for sale by owner, how you would actually want to, gnaw your arm off not to turn around and pull in the driveway.
So true.
And knock on that door and have a conversation with that for sale by owner, because you're so excited about the opportunity to be of service to them. And once they see the pre-listing pack, it's going to take all of the, I know why you guys don't want to go on listing appointments, because you're fearful of the questions that the sellers will ask you.
Which are objections.
Exactly. Or you're fearful of essentially the seller. Again, it's basically that. The seller putting you on your heels. Mm-hmm. Pre-listing pack removes that. Once you give it to them, it answers the question about commission. It answers the question about experience, about marketing, days on the market, list to sell price ratio. It answers the question about what you're doing internet marketing wise. It answers all the questions that you don't want to have a seller ask you. What you're doing is you're giving them the answers to the questions that maybe they haven't even thought of yet. That in itself, just the very presentation of our pre-listing pack given to a seller, will get you the listing, because even your most grizzled veteran competitors will not have a pre-listing pack because they A, never had one in the first place, or B, they're complacent and haven't updated it since 1972. Next point.
Yes, so don't skip that one, right? Okay, point number 6. Know what actually makes you money in real estate. It is the short list. Generating leads, proactive lead generation, furiously fast lead follow-up, pre-qualifying, presenting, negotiating, and closing. And yes, we are giving you permission to ignore everything else.
That's so important. If you only get good at, in this industry, in this professional lifetime of yours, if you only get good at proactive lead generation, if you only get good at pre-qualifying, if you only get good at presenting, negotiating, closing, and of course lead follow-up, if those are the only things you ever get good at, and you're the best at them, especially frankly proactive lead generation, pre-qualifying, and presenting, if you can only focus on 3 things to master, focus on those 3 things. Focus on really becoming good at proactive lead generation, pre-qualifying, and then obviously, presenting. You do those 3 things, everything else you can be wishy-washy on, or you can completely delegate. That means you never have to worry about branding. You never have to worry about marketing if you get really good at being a powerful listing agent. That's the reason, and I don't like to use the word passion, but if there is an aspect of this business that Julie and I have passion for, it's the listing side of things. It's the one thing in real estate that I still miss.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that. I had a pretty experienced coaching client tell me once, she was reflecting on her earning while she was learning and her trajectory and the difference between where she is now versus a few years ago. And she said, once I got clear on the fact that my number one job is to be a proactive lead generator, I was then forced to be good at the other things, because when I have leads coming in, I got to follow up on them. I got to use my lead follow-up scripts. When I'm talking to that lead, I have to then learn to pre-qualify, because as I generate more leads, I have less time and I have to be more particular. So her point was, lead generate, that's what you've got to learn.
So here's the thing, guys. So many of you have your heads filled with all these things that other people are telling you are important. What is their motivation for telling you that, say, for example, you must have a CRM? Is it because they're wanting to sell you a CRM? What is the importance of them trying to tell you must work on your branding and your marketing, your mindset? Is it because they're trying to sell you those things? Have you noticed that the things that we're asking you to do are skills based? Once you learn how to proactively lead generate, pre-qualify, and present, those are things that you own and you don't have to pay for again, especially if you've mastered those skill sets. Do you get what Julie and I are doing? We're helping you build a sustainable business. We're helping you build a consistent source of cash flow. That is how you will get rich, where your money works for you and you no longer have to work for your money. We do not want you to be dependent on us, frankly, or anybody else for your success. because that is not, frankly, what we think is an ethical thing to do. And if you're, addicted to buying leads because you never learned to generate them yourself, well, then you're just a customer of the lead buyer or the lead seller, which means they can raise the prices, lower the prices, make the quality of the leads even. You guys get it. And yet, how many of you are actually going to take our advice seriously and become proactive lead generators? Well, I know which ones of you will, the ones that will be in the business in 24 months. Point number 7.
Yes, point number 7, use a transaction coordinator when you're averaging at least 2 transactions per month. That's averaging, not just because you get busy one
For
month.
at least 3 months in a row.
That's right. It's worth it for you to not be stuck in the weeds when you could be generating, presenting, and closing instead. This is the thing that they get bogged down in. They hide out in it.
Okay, so that's the bottom line, what Julie just said. So if you're doing 2 transactions a month, now it used to be more, like if you read our best-selling book, Harris Rules, available everywhere, you're going to see that we used to suggest 3 transactions per month. Well, 2 years ago, the average sale price was a lot less than it is now. So most of you will do great on only 2 transactions a month because the average sale price in the United States now is like $400,000. So probably most of you are going to be okay earning like say 15 to 20,000 a month. That is going to give you the momentum. Now, here's the next little caveat to this. Do we want you to train your own transaction coordinator? No, we do not. We want you, I'll just be direct with you. eXp Realty, you can have one of their transaction coordinators do your processing for you. That means after the deal is in contract, after the contract is signed, all parties have agreed to the terms, then that file is then processed all the way through to closing by a transaction coordinator. They charge you $250, but agents, listen to what I'm saying. You can charge your client more than that. You can make money on that. You can charge them $350 or $500. We know some people that are charging $1,000 for transaction coordination, and that is paid directly to you. That becomes another source of income for you. So not only do you need to, you get an opportunity to delegate the stuff that frankly is not what you should be doing anyway as a sales professional, but you then also get to make money off of it. That's a win-win where we come from. Point number 8.
Point number 8, you should know agents to refer business to when you get overscheduled and track those referrals. Eliminate the feeling of, what if what I'm doing works really well? I'm not able to handle it. I don't have enough time to handle it. I don't have enough experience to handle it. Well, eliminate that. So you say, yes, it might be my pleasure to help you, but sometimes refer that to referral agents. We're talking about referral agents, not hiring teams, not building teams. You do not need to build a team.
So a special message that is really critical is do not go into a recession with a bunch of fixed costs or people in your business that are not income producing. And what unfortunately has happened is the new paradigm in real estate and a lot of small brokerages, agents are, you have essentially gotten agents to work for you with the idea that you're going to be providing them leads. What if those leads become a lot more expensive? What if those leads, the quality themselves goes, essentially from bad to worse? All of those things are happening now. Why would you want to have a bunch of agents, a bunch of pissed off, hangry birds that you're responsible for feeding every single day? The better move is going to be to build referral partners in your market that you can send those leads to and charge them at 25 or 35. And we know some people that are charging 40% referral fees. Yes, that means that you have to pre-qualify every one of those leads yourself prior to referring that lead off to these other independent agents. We will strongly suggest if it happens to be a seller, and you'll know that from following our pre-qual script, that you might want to work with that buyer, that seller when they become a buyer yourself, or at the very least take the listing and refer it off to the buyer side off to somebody else. You will make more money, and this is for those of you who are trying to figure out how to make teams work and brokerages work. You'll make way more money referring those leads off for say 35% than you ever would if you actually try to keep those internal. How do I know it's true? Look what Zillow is doing. Exactly what I just said. Next point, Julie.
Well, yes, and don't forget that with Premier Coaching, they send referrals to each other and they do these types of transactions with each other all the time. We don't get involved in the middle of that. There was $1 million referral that went through our website this morning. All right, so point number 9, discuss all of this with your spouse, your family, etc. What it's going to take and to get their support. Talk about your schedule and have them help you to stay focused.
And kids. Truthfully.
And kids, especially kids.
If you're going to, this goes back to the first rule, I think the overarching point, be accountable and responsible to those you've already made commitments to. And so if you're starting this new business, what has a tendency to happen is there's all of a sudden some creeping narcissism and ego that starts to creep in. It becomes your business. It becomes your art project. It becomes your opportunity to, somehow it's not business minds that are prevailing for most agents, especially as they decide to enter into the business and scale something up. What they start to do is alienate their friends and their family members because their egos get too awash with all the branding and the marketing and all this, got to make all these videos and TikTok videos. Listen to what your coach or your future coach is telling you right now. When you're starting in this or any other business, or really anything, if you're deciding that you want to lose 20 pounds, or if you're deciding you want to learn how to, play the piano, that's going to take time away from the people that you've already made commitments to. So what you're going to do, one of the suggestions we, definitely advocate. Let's say, for example, you're in the real estate business. How about that? And you're now wanting to scale your business up. You've been selling consistently 15 houses and you want to go to 30 houses. You know it's going to require more listings. You know it's going to require more dedicated time. Instead of you just basically, holing up and doing what you're going to do and just, forget everybody else, go to your family, have a family meeting and say, mama and dad or mama or dad, or maybe you're working as a team. This is what we're going to do. We're going to sell, 25 houses this year. When we sell 25 houses, we're going to take the family to, we always use Disneyland as the example, but you guys can get the point. Older kids, maybe it's Europe, who knows? Do something that the goal of you selling more houses and you becoming more successful isn't just your goal. It becomes the family's goal. And one of the visualizations that we're big advocates of is drawing a thermometer on multiple pieces of 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper, tape them all together, and Jerry Lewis telethon style, and then divide that thermometer up with a bunch of little hash marks that represents the number of homes you're supposed to sell. So if it's 10 houses, let's say, there should be 10 little, sections that you're going to color in, or maybe your kids are going to color in as you're successfully selling another house. At the top of the thermometer is going to be what the big payoff is for the family. That is how you get permission and buy-in from your family members for you to be a little bit more self-directed, because you're building something not just for your own self-fulfillment, but you're building something for the betterment of your entire family. Next point.
Yes, best accountability partners ever, your kids. All right, point number 10, ask for help when you need it. Part-time agents are common and welcome in all of our coaching programs. We have pilots, firefighters, teachers. We even have a real rocket scientist from the Jet Propulsion Lab in LA. I saw that come through. I didn't buy it, so I called her.
One of the best, right? One of the best. I remember. Yeah. One of the best part-time agents we've ever had was a contractor for the Central Intelligence Agency for the CIA.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. He actually had his full-time job was a contractor where he ran a small team. Actually, I should edit that. He never actually specifically told me it was the CIA. So if the CIA is listening, he didn't actually say that he was working for you. He said a government agency, of which there's only two, NSA or CIA. Yes, I read too many spy novels.
And no, you're not going to say his name.
No, I'm not going to say his name, Paul. But the moral of the story is that he had a full-time business that he was very successful at, where he was doing had a software crew that was essentially creating specific software. He never obviously told me anything more than what I'm telling you now, but I will tell you this. He couldn't have calls with me, his coaching calls, when he was on site to where he never told me it was, because all the cell phones on site were blocked, which is kind of badass in itself. But that aside, he was one of the most successful part-time agents, and he was earning, I don't know if he actually, after his software business, after it scaled up, I don't know if he was earning more from that or from selling real estate. But I know from selling real estate, he was earning over $500,000 a year part-time. And guess what his number one source of business was? You guessed it, that very agency. He was getting referrals from the people he met at the agency who are able then to, they wanted to buy and sell real estate. And he was selling real estate in that hotbed of transactions around DC, which is one of the best markets in the world, probably, because people are always moving in and out. And as the administrations change and all the rest of it, that, was, again, a part-time agent who's incredibly successful. We have had a lot of part-time agents who are firefighters, a lot of part-time agents who are police officers. So open your mind to the possibilities, especially in a transitioning market like this, because guys, it does make sense to have multiple streams of income. Even if one of them isn't necessarily what you want to do, if you've got familial commitments, you absolutely positively, in our opinion, should honor those commitments first. Now, if you don't, then burn the ships and go 100% in real estate. Point number 11.
Point number 11, don't listen to anyone who tells you that you can't do it. It's not up to them. It's up to you. Adopt. If it's meant to be, it's up to me mentally, and take massive action daily. You can do it. Of course you can do it, but you've got to own it. If it's meant to be, it's up to me.
You know what the funny thing too is, Julie, how many actual full-time agents are, if we were to follow them around all day, And like with a
They're
camera.
part-time.
They're part-time. They're not even part-time, right?
Right.
I mean, that is the irony of it. They quit their full-time job and they're saying, I'm going to be, full-time in real estate now. But they're working barely part-time hours in real estate, and they're spending the rest of their time on Facebook groups asking what they should be spending their money on, or how to do the lighting correctly on a TikTok video, and spending 5 hours to get a dance right, or just all this other insanity. You guys get the point? So if you're going to be part-time in real estate, be like Julie said earlier, be a Navy SEAL, be on mission, be downrange, be focused. Do not let your mind meander to the many rabbit holes that are in real estate. Focus on being of service to other people, and focus primarily, in our opinion, on being a very powerful listing agent. It all comes down to your ability to pre-qualify. This is true on the buyer side too, guys. To proactively lead generate and to pre-qualify. In this market, you've got to be an absolute, unbelievably good proactive lead generator and pre-qualifier. Those two skills, guys, they'll get you through any challenging market. Anything else you'd like to say to these guys?
Well, I mean, this started out, of course, a lot of our points for part-timers apply to those of you who claim you're full-time or maybe are full-time. Okay, so this applies to everyone. But for those of you who are part-time, and I'm even thinking about our military personnel, we have a lot of podcast listeners that are deployed or that are reservists. My heart goes out to you guys. Thank you for your service. And, we've had a lot of coaching clients that are military guys that specialize in VA and stuff like that.
You'll hear something
Make
crazy?
it a strength.
Our biggest market for our podcast, which is the number one listened to daily podcast for real estate professionals in at least the United States, that's still absolutely true, is the United States. Second is Canada. Third, when I checked a couple days ago, guess what country? You'll never guess.
Something ending in Stan, maybe.
No, Russia.
No? Oh, really? That's interesting.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is. And we know that a lot of you guys and gals are listening are in the military. And we have a lot of folks, I talk to them in the daily coaching sessions all the time. So maybe the thing that you're thinking about that's holding you back, your time constraints and your other responsibilities, maybe that's actually your biggest strength. We support you on that. Turn that into a great thing. I think that agents who have more of a limited time schedule are a little bit easier to coach at the end of the day.
It's the whole idea that you have to hop on a plane in 2 days.
Yes.
And, here it is. Let's say it's Monday, and now you're going to, you have to be on the plane on Wednesday. And magically, let's say it's Wednesday at noon, magically you're able to get all your week's worth of crap done by middle of the day on Tuesday. Oh, that's a big surprise. That's the benefit that a part-time agent has. They don't have the time to waste. Whereas full-time agents go to seminars, go to webinars, are all over social, doing all this silly stuff, wasting time because all these other people tell them that's what they're supposed to be doing to build their real estate businesses. The reality of it is, guys, is this is the simplest business that is frankly the most easy to screw up, because this business is all about direct communication with prospective clients. That's all really it is. It's talking to people. And the more barriers you put between you and the person who might transact with you, the less likely you are to succeed. Doesn't that just make sense? I mean, guys, come on. This should be very obvious to all of you.
Simplify.
It does. That's right. Cut through the malaise, cut through the BS. Focus on being of service to other people, especially in a market like this. Stay focused, guys. Have a fantastic day. We'll talk with you on the show tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.